Hello everyone. In this video, I'm going to show you an AI-powered trading watchlist automation I built for my client using n8n. The workflow automatically monitors a list of stocks, get historical market data, calculate technical indicators like RSI and moving average, check recent company news, and use AI to analyze the sentiment and risk. Then it gives every stock a score, save the analysis to Google Sheet, and send a Telegram alert when it finds a strong setup. One important thing, this is a market research assistant. It does not automatically place real trades. Let's start with the first part. The schedule trigger can run the workflow automatically from Monday to Friday. Then we have the trading configuration node. This is where I define my watch list. Right now, I'm monitoring Apple, Nvidia, AMD, and Tesla. I also define some important value here, like the minimum technical score, the final average score, and the RSI range. After that, the split watchlist node separates the stocks into individual items, and loop over stocks node process them one by one. Now we move to the market data section. I'm using the 12 data API here. For every stock, the workflow requires the last 100 daily candle. This gives us historical price like the open, high, low, close, and volume. I decided to use historical price instead of calling separate APIs for every technical indicator. This makes the workflow more efficient because with one market data request, I can calculate multiple indicators inside n8n. Then next, if node check if we actually receive enough historical data. If something goes wrong with the API, the workflow doesn't crash. It sends the stock to a nearby branch and saves the problem in Google Sheets. Now we move to the technical indicator. If the market data is valid, the workflow clean and normalize the price. Then it calculates a 20-day simple moving average and 50-day simple moving average. After that, it calculates RSI 14. These indicators help us understand the current trend and the momentum of the stock. Then I calculate the technical score using fixed rules. For example, if the current price is above the 20-day moving average, the stock gets 3 points. If SMA 20 is above SMA 50, it gets another 3 points. If RSI is inside the range I configured, it gets 2 points. And if the daily price change is positive, it gets 1 more point. So the maximum technical score is 9. And this part is important. AI is not designed the technical score. These are deterministic rules. Then this if node checks if the technical score is strong enough. If the score is too low, there is no reason to spend AI token analyzing the stock. So if the workflow simply logs it as a technical reject in Google Sheet and move to the next step. But if the technical setup is interesting, we continue to the news analysis. For the news section, I'm using Finnhub. The workflow gets recent company news for the stock. Then I aggregate the headline and summarize into one data test. This information is sent to Gemini. Gemini receives both the technical context and the recent news. But Gemini is not allowed to simply say buy or sell. Its job is to analyze the news. It classifies the overall sentiment as positive, neutral, or negative. It also identifies the main catalyst, the risk level, important risk, and give a short explanation. I'm also use a structured output parser so Gemini always return the information in the same format. That makes the AI output much easier to use in the next node. Now, the workflow combines the technical analysis with the news analysis. A positive news sentiment adds 2 points, neutral news adds 1 point, and negative news adds 0. Since the technical score has a maximum of 9, the final opportunity score has a maximum of 11. Then, the workflow compares this score with the minimum alert threshold. So instead of letting AI randomly decide if a stock is good or bad, most of the decisions come from fixed technical rules, and AI is mainly helping us understand the news and risk. Every reviewed stock is saved in Google Sheet. This creates a trading research journal that I can evaluate later. And if the final score is strong enough, the workflow format a report and send it directly to Telegram. Now, let's actually test the workflow. I'm going to run it manually. The watchlist is loaded and the workflow starts processing the first stock. Here, Twirl's data is returning the historical price, then the technical indicator is MA20, is MA50, and RSI. And if one of the stocks reach the alert, I receive a Telegram message like this with all the important information. And here we can see the analysis saved automatically in Google Sheet. We have the stock symbol, price, indicator, technical score, the iNews, sentiment, risk, and the final result. So, instead of manually checking multiple stocks, calculating indicator, reading company news, and organizing everything myself, this workflow automates most of the research process. Again, this is not a automatic trading bot. It's an AI assistant market researcher and watchlist system. And that's the complete workflow. See you in the next video, and thank you for watching.